Welcome to INOvators, a series where we sit down with thought leaders in the healthcare technology space to talk about the news and trends that are impacting the industry today. My name is Justine Gincola. I'm on the corporate communications team here at Inovalon, and joining me today is Rajesh Viswanathan, our Chief Technology Officer. This episode is part of our mini-series where we look specifically at 2025 and what our internal thought leaders predict will be top of mind in the healthcare technology space. Today, Rajesh and I will cover the healthcare data lifecycle. Thanks for being here today, Rajesh.
Hey, Justine. Thank you for the opportunity. Great to be here.
All right, so before we dive into 2025, let's look back at this past year. Tell me, what are some of the biggest challenges and advancements in healthcare data last year?
Great question. In terms of challenges, I think it's hard to look beyond security and the impact of cyber incidents. There was some pretty sort of prominent incidents in cybersecurity that affected the healthcare, the entire ecosystem really, and kind of was a huge reminder of the importance of protecting ourselves from various types of threat actors that kind of have different ways to kind of compromise our system. So this was a somewhat sobering reminder of the criticality of us kind of like always sort of having our defenses up. In terms of opportunity, again, it's hard to kind of look beyond what AI has done in terms of the impact of technology already. I think we started out 2024 kind of being a little bit skeptical overall about whether AI is going to have this dramatic impact that it was having in other industries. But we're starting to see that already, and I really think that we're going to kind of see an acceleration of that, through the rest of this year as well.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, even on our INOvators podcast, that has been a huge topic of conversation. But kind of keeping on that theme with the increased popularity and the use cases for AI, there has been a heightened focus on data hygiene and quality.
Yep.
And as you know, you can't have strong models without strong data. So what does good data really mean? And how would you say that healthcare organizations can improve data quality into 2025?
Yeah, really, it kind of goes back to the principle of garbage in, garbage out, right? Like, regardless of how fancy your AI models are going to be, it's really going to be about the data that the models are built around. So it's super critical really to have kind of a very rigorous governance process around the data that's kind of feeding those AI models. Like it's like, the quality of the data coming in. Have you validated it for duplicates? Have you actually validated for bad data? Is it incomplete? Is it actually a reasonable representation of the various types of scenarios that data might be representing? All super critical in actually kind of like building models that can actually go make decisions based on that data. So that's kind of been our core focus here as well. And it's things that we spend a lot of time thinking about, like how do we actually kind of harden the quality of the data that's informing the AI model so the decision making is dependable and trustworthy.
So when we look at a strong data lifecycle, there's kind of this ripple effect. What kind of advancements in patient care and healthcare economics can better data management support?
Yeah, really, it comes down across the board. It comes down to trust, right? Like bad data is going to result in bad decisions that can actually result in bad outcomes for patients. So it really comes down to how do we actually make sure that data has the quality that you expect it to have for the decision that you're making with the data. In terms of sort of like patient outcomes, because you're making life and death decisions based on this data. It's predicting treatments that need to be provided to patients. So super important to kind of like have that better data management driving that increased trust in the system. In terms of healthcare economics, it really comes down to a couple of things. It comes down to how do we drive better efficiency in the system, and how do we actually get more consistent decision making from the data. And again, it comes back to how well governed that data is, so that you can actually go make those decisions around, hey, I think I can actually go automate certain business processes that can drive better efficiencies. I can go leverage the resourcing to sort of more highly leveraged areas and so forth. So again, it comes back to how the data has been managed and governed to kind of drive these better healthcare outcomes, drive better healthcare economics.
And we've seen a lot of advancement and innovation in 2024, but tell me, what is your number one prediction for healthcare data trends and further innovation that we'll see into 2025?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's been interesting to watch how quickly that healthcare spectrum or that AI spectrum has evolved. We started out with, I think of as perceptive AI. That kind of gave way, which is kind of the more traditional AI. Can we actually go do things like natural language processing? That gave way to generative AI, which has kind of been all the rage of the last couple of years. Increasingly, we're seeing this agentic AI workflows now, where you're actually kind of replacing multi-step business processes with AI. And eventually, and we see some of this already, like actual physical AI, can we actually go use AI in, with robotics and self-driving cars and so forth. So I think that evolution and that expansion is going to keep continuing unabated. I think we're going to see some of that in healthcare as well. Like historically, healthcare tends to kind of be a little bit of a laggard, partly because of the importance of making sure that there's enough human judgment in the system. You still want to kind of go back to that human in the loop, human at the helm sort of approach to healthcare. And one of the things especially with agentic workflows is you kind of ideally want each of these steps to be driven by software processes, APIs and so forth. And in a lot of healthcare, that's not quite the case. So I suspect agentic workflows are going to kind of take off, but perhaps not at the same pace as in certain other industries. What you will see, though, is a number of clinical adjacent workflows kind of starting to move in this agentic workflow direction. So you can think of things like workforce management or consolidating patient information in order to kind of create an appointment with the provider, et cetera. So there's quite a few of those kinds of use cases across that healthcare ecosystem that I think will start evolving towards these more agentic workflows. And I think that's going to be the big thing that happens in 2025, this sort of evolution of AI across these various forms into these various scenarios.
All right. Well, certainly very exciting stuff here, Rajesh, and will be very cool to see what happens in the year to come. I appreciate you taking the time to share your insight with us.
I totally enjoyed it. Thank you so much, Justine.
And thank you to our audience for tuning in. Be sure to check out the other episodes of our Trends and Predictions miniseries.